and welcome to the show. My guest today is one of India's most colorful politicians. He's an academic, an intellectual, a zealous crusader, and some would say a maverick opportunist. I'm talking about Dr. Subramanian Swamy, the former parliamentarian, former union minister, and currently the national president of the Janata Party. Dr. Subramanian, it's good to have you on the show. Today, as we speak, are you feeling personally vindicated and triumphant? A. Raja is in custody.
He's gone to Tihar now.
He's gone to Tihar. You know, the Prime Minister did a live press conference with editors answering questions in front of the nation. Do you feel triumphant and vindicated, or do you feel impatient, and are you cynical of the outcome?
Well, I'm encouraged. I'm not triumphant or vindicated, because till the people who are behind it, there are many people, very important people, unless they are prosecuted and sent to jail on a sentence, there cannot be a vindication. But I'm certainly very encouraged. I'm particularly happy with the Supreme Court. I mean, Supreme Court has really shown that it's an institution which still has got a lot of life compared to academia and media and parliament.
In fact, you know, I didn't use one word to describe you, but I could well may have, and that is litigant, isn't it?
But never for myself.
But you have defended yourself in all those defamation cases that are filed against you.
That is not a litigant.
Yeah, yeah. But when I say litigant, it's someone who takes recourse to the law to find his battles, and as someone who actually argues in a court of law. Both.
Absolutely, I argue myself. The thing is that it's no use just giving speeches anymore. People are fed up with speeches and walkouts in Parliament. They want action. And the courts are the only places where you're getting action, because the government is so unresponsive. So from that point of view, I've learnt law. I didn't take a degree, but I learnt law, and my wife is a lawyer, so she does all the dirty work.
But just for the record, as we speak, how many cases are you currently involved with?
Well, actually not many, but if you look over the last 30 years, not 30, 25 years, I would say I would have fought on public interest, about 45 cases, and I won almost all of them.
And as we speak?
As we speak, I would say right now I'm in 6 major cases.
Dr. Swamy, what gives you this kind of incredible confidence in the law and in the judiciary? And that doesn't mean there shouldn't be. I'm just saying what gives it to you, because most people are hesitant to get into court. So where do you get this confidence
you have to develop a taste for it. If you enjoy going to court and the hassle of getting in, sitting, waiting for your turn to come, and then the paperwork, and then running around serving notices, once you get over that, and you don't hesitate and don't mind going to court, it's really a very, very intellectually enriching experience. And I would suggest that law should now be made compulsory in schools.
I want to go back to what happened this week, the week we are speaking. I'm sure you watched the Prime Minister's live press conference pretty closely. Explain to the public what they should understand as the quantum of losses in the 2G spectrum case. Because in this conference, Dr. Manmohan Singh was quite equivocal. And he seemed to tilt in the favor of what Mr. Sibal has been saying about the size of the losses, which is 0.
No, I don't think he is tilted in favor of Sibal. That's a spin on some people. He didn't want to let down Sibal, so he played around. And you know, his conduct was unbecoming of an economist. See, he played around with words because he was trying to protect Sibal, because supposing he had said, no, that's not correct. Sibal's people immediately started demanding resignation of Sibal. But as an economist, you should know that even if you don't have an auction, there is a concept in economics called opportunity cost. And I'm sure he knows what that is, because he's a trained economist.
So how does one understand what this opportunity cost is? Because I think in some of the press releases you have issued over the years, now chasing this, is 50,000 crore rupees.
60,000 is a crore rupees is what I've estimated is the bribe.
CAG says 1.76 lakh crores, 1.76 lakh crores of presumptive losses. Yeah, and all these words are important. Presumptive, notional.
Yeah.
So how does the public understand this?
Well, public should understand that those who got the licenses, some of them sold it to other companies who didn't apply for the licenses, couldn't have got it anyway if they had applied. And they got 7 times or 8 times that amount. In the case of Tata's, they got 13 times when they sold to Docomo, you see. So the total revenue is about 12,000 crores in the 2G scam on this first come, first serve basis. So you multiplied that by 8-9 times, you already crossed 100,000. Then they also took into account, the CAG took into account the this dual technology, CDMA and all that. And then there's some unused spectrum. They put it all together, it came to 1,76,000. But let me tell you, they also said that by some other methods of estimating, it comes to 60,000 crores. I would say the people should understand it this way. Had this been genuinely auctioned, they would have got 1,76,000 or thereabouts extra. But that doesn't mean the bribe was 1,76,000 crores. The bribe, according to me, is about 35% of that, which is about 60,000 crores.
In the Prime Minister's interaction with the editors, one thing was a constant refrain, which is that a lot of the governance deficit we are seeing in this country today can be blamed to 2 things. Most critically, the compulsions of coalition politics or coalition governments, and also, to a much lesser degree, the realities or the constraints that democracy poses. Dr. Subramanian, this is something that Indians are getting used to, as explanations for why we don't have good governance. What is the way out of this? Not as a politician, but as an academician.
See, there was Morarji Desai was very decisive. He went out in 2.5 years. I mean, we came with a huge mandate. But he wouldn't agree to some of the demands of the coalition partners. So he had to go. I mean, he did a lot of good work, but he had to go. Same thing with Chandrasekhar, who is a brilliant Prime Minister for 7 months. In fact, the economic reforms was not brought by either Narasimha Rao or by Manmohan Singh. It was actually prepared by me with the full backing of Mr. Chandrasekhar, but we couldn't implement it. But he had to leave in 7 months.
So you're saying the way out is to sacrifice government and do elections as frequently as possible.
Let the people say, tire the people out and tell them that, listen, you want decisive government, you elect people in that kind of majority. You can't just go into these caste groupings and so on and so forth. I would say if I were Manmohan Singh, and I'm not, I know Manmohan Singh enough to know that he and I are like chalk and cheese. But if I was Manmohan Singh, I'll say, risk it on something. For supposing he had risked it on this spectrum scam and said, I'm going to for elections, I can't delay this, and I will not take Raja again as a minister. Let there be another election. I think he would have got a bigger majority.
You started this particular fight to go after the 2G spectrum scam in November 2008.
Yeah.
What got you going there? Is it the stake sale by the companies that had got the licenses?
No. If there's one mistake Raja has made, somebody would ask me, what is that one mistake that Raja made? If he had not made that mistake, he would have been in a much better position today. I would say January 10th, 2008, when he issued that press release saying that the cutoff date is 25th September, not 1st October, and that within 1 hour you have to bring a demand draft of 1650 crores to get spectrum. Now, that is the turning point, in my opinion, because there was mara-mari, people were disgusted. That evening, or a couple of evenings later, some civil servants came to my house and said, today we feel like committing suicide. And they described what happened. Then I asked them, and they told me, really this is going to be one of the biggest scandals. So I started following. It was getting difficult to get documents and so on.
The Indian people have got used to seeing corruption as an endemic problem. Do you think that the way the 2G spectrum case is finally dealt with, we don't know the outcome, but if the outcome is what you would like to see and what people would like to see, which is wrongdoers getting punished, do you think it will be a turning point in the way Indians and India deals with corruption?
I certainly think this is going to be the beginning of Indian Renaissance, if you ask me. This 2G spectrum will set so much confidence into the people that it will become the beginning of India's Renaissance.
You just released a book at the end of the last
Yes,
year.
called Hindutva and National Renaissance.
And National Renaissance,
Yes,
released by RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat.
That's right. Vishwan Parishad Chief also, yeah.
What I've been reading about what you've written about Hindutva, and your, some of the things you've said on your party website and in your umpteen press releases.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you're like the guys who broke down the Babri Masjid, if you're like the guys who actually, oversaw the massacre in Gujarat. No, Dr. Swamy, because I don't know where to draw the line.
I agree. I'll draw the line for you. If your Hindutva is that there is something wrong with you, your divisiveness, your caste orientation, your language, linguistic differences, and that you should rise above this. No more caste. Caste was never meant to be a birth-based concept. Now scrap it because there is no way we can reform it. Become only Hindu. That is that is you turn inwards. That is my Hindutva. The Hindutva of what happened in Gujarat or Babri Masjid is a targeting of another community. And, I was not in favor of that.
But Dr. Swamy, you have asked for Muslims to give up wanting mosques in, Ayodhya and Mathura.
Argument is Muslim masjid is not a religious place. It's a facilitation center for reading namaz. In Saudi Arabia, they break masjids all the time.
I've read that, Dr. Swamy. I've read some of your arguments. I'm just saying that you are, your ideology of Hindutva also sees to be coming down the definition seems to be based on who you're not and the outsider or the enemy.
Yeah, you need an identity for India. And what is that identity? It's not, passport is not your identity. Being together on a railway platform is not your identity. The identity is something by which as Professor Huntington had written in his book, Who We Are for Americans. There is something called substance and salience. Salience is when you place your country above every other value, and that identification. And substance is where you find what your connections are with the other people. What's my connection with the Hindu and the Muslim? What's the connection between Hindu and Muslim? The Muslim, according to DNA analysis, is the same as my DNA. And therefore, he has obviously descended from my ancestors. We have the same ancestors. So why should, because the religion change, culture should change? After all, the Iranians, they have accepted Persian as their language, which is not their language. It's not the language of Islam. It's not the Arabic language. It was the language of the Parsis, the Zoroastrians. I am only saying that let us, in each of these things, there is a rationality which I want to bring out. But if you start painting it, well, then what can I do? I am in fact giving a highly articulate, acceptable way of making your feeling with this country. The patriotism based on spiritual values, where Muslims and Christians can also participate. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing, it's not comparable to killing them.
But they can also participate as saying that they need to get co-opted in the mainstream where the numbers are larger, isn't it, Dr. Swamy?
No, you mean the minorities getting co-opted?
Yeah.
Of course they should get co-opted. Why should they have not get co-opted? They belong to this country. Their ancestors belong to this country. They are very much part of this country. But they should not give up the culture of this country.
Dr. Swamy, do you think that the young and the youth of India will accept or understand these arguments?
That's the undercurrent today. And the way I put it...
It hasn't been seen electorally.
You will see it.
BJP,
No, I won't
two
say...
elections, Dr. Swamy.
That's okay.
There doesn't seem to be any...
But that is because
there don't seem to be takers for this kind of agenda.
Because BJP betrayed the agenda. That's why people didn't vote for him. But when the original idea was the Ram Janmabhoomi took place, they went from 2 seats in Lok Sabha all the way to majority. Then once they came to power, for 6 years they did nothing. The BJP failure in 2004 is because of the letdown of the Hindutva.
And in 2009?
2009, that's a very controversial thing because this is one of my court cases which I have, which is the electronic voting machine has been manipulated.
I'm not convinced. You haven't won me over, and I'm not sure.
I'll do it by osmosis, don't worry.
You're a politician, and yet your, let's say the platform on which which your actions get implemented or your ideas get implemented have either been the judiciary or in the media. Why is it that people have not got enthused by your ideas? The Janata Party, as we speak, has no MPs, no MLAs, if I'm not mistaken. Are you going to blame it on the EVMs?
No, I didn't contest a single election last time.
And what about other people in your party? Because I do believe that the Janata Party has state units.
Without that, I couldn't be moving around. I couldn't be received and seen off.
So why is it that your ideas, your crusades, don't seem to be, galvanizing public in the favor of your ideology?
Well, I wouldn't say quite like that because after the emergency, I got elected from northeast Bombay, which was considered the stronghold of Shiv Sena. I had Tamilian, not once, but twice. I've been elected from UP. I've been elected from Madurai, which has a strong anti-Brahmin basis. So the day I entered politics, I came to the conclusion that much of the mass base that people talk about is caste, and I don't want any part of it. So when you disown any caste, including your own, then you do not get fanatic supporters. I certainly am a leader without a party, yes. But at least you should appreciate I never left the party I joined, which is Janata. Everybody else left it. But I stuck it on, despite all the nasty comments about the party doesn't exist, it's a signboard party, all this. I said, this is the party which brought us democracy, I'm not leaving it. Let everybody go.
What is the source of funds for the Janata Party?
The usual. I collect, I call up people, they give me money. But they know that once they give me money, I'm not amenable. I'm a traditional Brahmin, no? It is your privilege to give me money.
You don't want caste to be important. Now when it suits you, you're a traditional Brahmin. Come on, Dr. Swamy.
Caste for problem is birth. I don't believe that Brahmin is by birth. That's what Bhagavad Gita says. It's not by birth. Brahmin is someone who has learning, who has courage, and has no wealth. But the kings will be afraid of him. That is the definition of Brahmin.
That's also the definition you would like us to believe of Dr. Subramanian Swamy?
Yeah, it fits me. It absolutely fits me.
But why should we believe you when you say that I call up people and they give me donations, but I'm not amenable?
Yes.
Why should we believe you?
Tell me one thing where people can say, he got this money, that's why he has done this. No. I've been in politics for 40 years. There's not a single criminal case against me. Except defamation cases, no other case. Because I accuse other people.
When people call you an opportunist, what do you say? Because, I mean, everybody knows about the tryst with Jayalalitha, right? And
yes,
so,
yes.
And then...
But there was no opportunism there, you see, because I fought her, filed cases against her. When I joined her again, I did not withdraw the cases. If I had withdrawn the cases, it would have been opportunism. But I did not. Today she is suffering only because of those cases which I filed. And I told her the very first day, she came to me, I didn't go to her. She came to my house And I said that...
But if you believe somebody is a criminal, why would you want to consort with them?
Well, you see...
Where's the principle there, Dr. Swamy?
Then like asking Winston Churchill, if you believe that Stalin is a murderer, why did you join with him against Hitler? I joined her against Karunanidhi. And Karunanidhi, I never thought would come back. He came back. He took advantage of the campaign I had led. He used the organization.
It's a given that you're a brilliant mind. Yeah. You have great intellectual prowess, and yet, you know, you're dismissed as a man who makes a lot of noise.
Dismissed by whom? By whom?
By a lot of different people. They may be your enemies, they may be vested interests, but they could also be just people who don't know too much about what is happening.
That doesn't matter. If they are ignorant, I can't.
But does that happen? Do you think you're doing yourself a disservice sometimes? Because I was reading, you know, on the Janata Party website, and people are familiar that you've been doing this for a long time now, this "Do you know Sonia Gandhi?" and all these accusations about Sonia Gandhi, her family, her ties. Do you feel sometimes that some issues like this, and this is an example in that direction, have done a disservice to what you could achieve and the influence you could wield?
No. See,
it's a distraction from the good work that you may be doing.
If I expose Sonia Gandhi, all her supporters are going to oppose me. They're going to say 1,000 things. Otherwise, I'll end up like Manmohan Singh, you see, where you become just a rubber stamp. I don't want to be a rubber stamp. I didn't give up teaching at Harvard to come to this country to become a rubber stamp. You see, what is it that I want? I have everything I want. There's nothing that a position can give me except to do policy, to do things. But to come to that position where I can do something in power, I must come up fighting. And in the process of fighting, those people who stand to lose, they will hit you. That doesn't mean that we ought to just see what is that which is the least common factor or something, and don't hurt anybody, be goody-goody on everybody. You can't bring change that way. I have brought a lot of change in this country. But whether I get position or not, it doesn't matter. If I get position, I'll change everything in a very short time.
Well, Dr. Swamy, we may not agree with everything you say, but you say it with a lot of passion. I can understand why you tend to go on and win those arguments in court. Let's see what people make of what you have to say, and at least where the 2G spectrum scam is concerned, we value the work you have put in. Thank you for your time. Wish you all the best.
Bye.
Thank you.